Max Verstappen has made his stance very clear. Reports from multiple sources say that the current world champion, along with his inner circle, has issued a strong warning to Red Bull's top management. The message: reshaped Christian Horner influence at the team or risk losing Max altogether. Behind the scenes, the demand is firm: shift the balance of power, or prepare for the consequences. They're asking for a complete overhaul of authority, cutting down Horner's decision role, spreading responsibilities, and bringing in more checks on his control. This isn't quiet frustration anymore. It's become a full-blown challenge to the way things are run. Red Bull now stands at a dangerous crossroad. Either they agree to this change, or they risk watching their most successful driver walk away. But is this just a pressure tactic from Verstappen's team, or is it a warning that Red Bull is slowly crumbling from the inside? And if Max really does leave, what happens to the balance of Formula One? At first, the rumors didn't seem serious, like gossip you'd expect during a slow news week. But the deeper you look, the more it holds up. The respected German media outlet, Automotor und Sport, revealed that Max's team has already spoken directly to Red Bull's main owners, the ULTIMATUM family from Thailand. Their condition: Horner's authority must be scaled back. If that doesn't happen, Max might consider moving on. The issue at hand is simple: control. Right now, Christian Horner has his hands on almost every part of the team: racing tactics, technical decisions, sponsorship talks, and even the new engine project set to launch in 2026. For Max's side, that's too much power in one person's hands, especially when things start to go wrong. Years ago, Horner's heavy involvement made sense. He had results to back it up: 4 championships with Max, 5 constructors' titles, and one of the most dominant seasons in F1 history just a couple of years ago. But this season, the performance has dropped, and the usual excuses are starting to wear thin. Red Bull's recent race in Austria couldn't have gone much worse. Max was out of the race right at the start, crashing on the first lap. His teammate, Yuki Tsunoda, ended up at the very bottom of the classified finishers. And when Christian Horner tried to explain the team's poor performance, his comments came across more like damage control than leadership. Speaking to Sky Sports, he said, "We haven't suddenly become idiots overnight, but the Verstappen camp sees it differently. For them, it's not about one bad weekend. They believe the team is heading into dangerous territory without a solid plan to fix things." And this sudden shift in tone didn't come from nowhere. Earlier this year, Max's father, Jos Verstappen, gave a public warning that as long as Horner stays in charge, Red Bull could start to fall apart. Back then, many thought it was just personal frustration. Now it feels more like a prediction that's slowly becoming true. There's no more but. The Verstappen family knows what they want: a leadership system that spreads responsibility across several experts. Instead of keeping everything with one person, they want to set up more like McLaren, where technical, sporting, and business decisions are handled by different specialists, not just one central figure. And inside the paddock, there's growing talk that Red Bull's owners are finally starting to consider that idea. The ULTIMATUM family, who once stood firmly behind Horner, are now keeping their options open. They can see things aren't working the way they used to. The team's place in the championship is slipping. Their star driver is unhappy, and with Max Verstappen being the face of Red Bull's F1 success, losing him wouldn't just be a competitive hit, could also be a massive financial blow. Right now, Red Bull is standing at a turning point. It's either Max, or the man who's been running the show for nearly 20 years, but staying the same may not be an option anymore. Time might already be running out. What's happening now goes beyond surface-level tension. Insiders describe the situation as a full-scale push to break the team down and rebuild it from within. The demand is clear: reduce Horner's grip on the organization, share the responsibilities, and put proper systems in place so no one person holds unchecked power. If those conditions aren't met, Max is prepared to walk hand everyone inside. Red Bull knows he actually can, while Horner continues to dismiss the noise in public, calling it gossip and distractions. Max's side is moving carefully and legally. His current deal runs until 2028, but multiple reports say it includes special clauses. These clauses reportedly allow Max to leave early, based on certain conditions tied to team performance and internal stability. One of those clauses might already be close to triggering if Max falls outside the top 3 in the driver standings by the summer break. Right now, George Russell and Charles Leclerc are breathing down his neck in the points table. If Max slips any further, he might have a clean legal way out, almost as if this exit strategy was part of the plan from the beginning. We're now entering the summer stretch of the season, with big races at Silverstone, Hungary, and Belgium just around the corner. And Red Bull, once the most dominant team on the grid, is starting to fall behind. McLaren is gaining ground fast in the constructors' standings, and even Max, who usually drives like nothing can stop him, is now just trying to hold his place near the top. As for Horner, he's not changing. Instead, he's standing firm. When asked about the situation with Verstappen, he insisted Red Bull still has strong leadership and depth. His message leaned heavily on past achievements, repeating the idea that nothing major has changed. "We didn't suddenly forget how to win," he said, "but for Max's team, That way of thinking is exactly the problem. The concern from Max's side isn't just about a few races gone wrong, it's about direction. Formula One doesn't reward teams for what they did 2 years ago, it rewards the teams that keep pushing forward. And right now, Red Bull isn't moving fast enough. They've seen McLaren change its entire technical setup in just 18 months and jump to the front of the grid. Mercedes, after a rough patch, adjusted their rear suspension and is showing signs of life again. Meanwhile, Red Bull has made only small adjustments, and the results haven't improved. In the view of the Verstappen camp, the current setup, Horner controls nearly everything, is no longer working. They believe keeping all major decisions in one person's hands is risky and outdated. There's now growing talk about a new Plan 1 that splits responsibilities clearly between different departments: racing, technology, and business. No single person would have total control. This kind of structure means accountability is spread, and every choice has a clear source. The model they're pointing to, McLaren, a team where Andrea Stella acts as team principal, but major decisions are shared with technical leaders like Peter Prodromou and Neil Hode. That collaborative setup is now producing real results. McLaren leads the constructors' standings. Red Bull has dropped to 4th. So far, Horner has resisted changing anything, but that refusal may end up costing the team more than they expect. The Verstappens aren't bluffing. They've been clear. They want change, and they have the leverage to demand it. And if Red Bull won't move fast enough, there are others paying attention. Mercedes, for one, has kept quiet, but inside the paddock, it's no secret that they're interested. Toto Wolff may not say much publicly, but George Russell already hinted that his own future depends on whether Max becomes available, and Max knows it. What started as a disagreement about roles is now a full-on negotiation for control. If Red Bull agrees to the changes, Max could stay and finish what he started, building a legacy with the same team that made him a champion. But if they refuse, he becomes the most valuable free agent in modern Formula One, and every top team will be ready to make their move. There's a twist in all of this. Max Verstappen doesn't actually want to leave. He's not chasing the next big contract or trying to shake things up for the sake of drama. He wants Red Bull to respond, to adapt, to prove they're still serious about competing at the very top, but only if they're ready to change the way they operate. Otherwise, the story of Max at Red Bull won't be about how dominant it was, it'll be about how it ended too soon. Publicly, the team keeps saying everything is under control. They call it background noise, deny any internal crisis, and promise that the situation is being exaggerated. But inside the paddock, the signs tell a different story. The energy in the garage has shifted. The confidence isn't what it used to be. Max used to look like the one following the lead. Now, he's the one setting the terms. In past years, there was a clear setup at Red Bull. Horner made the calls. Max delivered results. That balance worked when the car was unmatched and wins came easily. But now, the results are slipping. The upgrades aren't hitting. And the only reason the team is still in the conversation is because Max is squeezing every bit of performance out of a machine that's no longer the best. That's where the bigger issue begins to take shape. This isn't just about points. It's about structure, accountability, and whether the people in charge are willing to accept that things need to change before they fall even further behind. Insiders now say that Max's team has already outlined a possible new setup, one that would shift Red Bull away from a single decision-maker model and build something more balanced. Not out of frustration, but out of a desire to future-proof the team, the same way McLaren restructured to stop falling behind. The question is, will Red Bull listen before it's too late? Because this isn't just about holding on to a star driver, it's about staying relevant in the sport's next chapter. And if Red Bull's top bosses don't respond soon, they may lose more than just Verstappen. They may lose their grip on the team's future. On one side stands Christian Horner, the long-standing face of the team. He's played the political game well, kept sponsors happy, and turned Red Bull into a powerhouse over nearly 20 years. On the other, there's Max Verstappen, the most valuable name in racing today. A driver whose presence alone lifts the entire organization, and whose departure would send shockwaves across the grid. He hasn't spoken much on the matter. No public call-outs, no dramatic interviews, just quiet pressure and carefully planned exits from key team discussions. It's calculated, not emotional, and that silence. It's louder than any quote. Mechanical problems can be fixed in a factory, but what Red Bull is dealing with now is internal. It's cultural, it's about control, and every passing race brings the situation closer to a breaking point. The summer stretch is here, the standings are tight, and behind closed doors, the team is modeling how things might look if change becomes unavoidable. Because if they wait too long, they may not have a choice left to make. So, now the clock is ticking. How much longer can Red Bull avoid the conversation? Is Max's patience nearly gone, or has the shift in power already started quietly behind the scenes? One thing is certain, this story isn't just about one driver or one team boss. It's about a changing sport, shifting priorities, and the moment when the balance tips for good,